Actually, I think there's a certain aesthetic of having the microphone in the podcast.
Yeah.
Like if you're wearing like the wireless lavalier mic, it doesn't look as good. I mean, it doesn't look like a podcast, you know?
Yes,
Like
correct.
it just looks like people talking and just looks like a normal video. But
Yeah.
I think, at least I found when I edited some podcasts, is like, yeah, having this here is actually, it helps the video.
Yeah, and there must be some benefit to have
The wire.
the thick wire. Like,
Quality will be
the quality will be better. Yeah. You can do this with your phone. So the original plan was to use a GarageBand on the iPhone or iPad. It does the job too. Yeah, but iPad has other use, so we just download whatever software that's allowed to do this. Yeah. It would look so much chicer if I just do it on iPad. And yeah, this computer makes sort of intimidate the. Yeah, there's a lot of buttons and it looks very professional, but it's not.
Is that OBS?
No, it's Audition. It's it's done by the same company do Photoshop.
Oh, okay.
And they are really good at figuring out what the general masses want. And it seems like, oh, podcast is on the right. So let's make a software that do podcasts. And there you go.
Is it free or?
No, it's you need to buy. I have a subscription, so it just comes with a bundle, like all the Adobe software,
Photoshop, everything like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's for us, it's like, okay, it's just one more software I can download because there's no escape. You know, they are sort of very permissible on a lot of things.
Yeah.
Photos, design, everything is them. Yeah.
You kind of.
Well, I take that back, but I think there's a lot of young generation kind of just skip the whole thing. Because right now, even like software like TikTok, the way you edit in TikTok.
True. Yeah.
And you edit in Instagram.
Yeah.
And for old school like us, we need to plug into a computer and then pull out all these things. But the younger generation, no, they're just like, yeah, I can do this on the phone, and they did it. Yeah.
I mean, I do like that flexibility of being able to like edit on the go.
Right.
Like I edit when I'm sitting in the MRT or if I'm at the gym or something like this.
Yeah.
And some software like CapCut is actually pretty good, like the free version.
Yes.
It's so user friendly.
CapCut is from TikTok, right?
Yeah. I think it's the same company.
Right.
And they have like, you know, because everyone uses it, they have all the free templates, things like this.
Yeah.
And also does pretty well with subtitles, like auto subtitles, captions.
Okay. So they do have auto subtitles.
Yeah, and they have like bilingual too. So you could have it like translate automatically into English or Chinese.
Nice.
It's pretty cool.
Okay. Yeah. Do you like the voiceover they have?
Voiceover? You mean like
when you right now, if you scroll through TikTok or scroll through Instagram, there's this like canned machine.
I don't like. No.
Right.
To me, I think it's so cringy most of the time. Yeah.
Yes.
Like very rarely, I think it's used well. But I do know like some voiceovers from AI is really nice. Like,
right.
There's one AI company called like 11 Labs.
Okay.
Yeah, and they sound just like people, and they sound like professional voice actors from movies and things like this.
Nice.
And it's really fun to play around with. But I think like the normal trending one on Instagram and stuff, like every time I hear it, I skip it because it bothers me so much.
For the 11 Lab?
Yeah.
How do they market themselves?
Yeah.
Do they market themselves as like, oh, this is a tool for creators, or this is for students to learn? Like, how do they market them?
11 Labs, to my knowledge, is the best text-to-voice AI on the market.
Okay.
Yeah, and so basically to creators, right?
Right.
And they do like, yeah, of course, students can use it as well. Like a lot of it you can use for free. It's just like if you want, of course, like more voices or longer, like, you know, turn a whole book into speech, then you have to pay more, of course.
Right.
But they have a pretty, you know, substantial free version that a lot of students can use. So you can play around with it. It's pretty fun.
So far, I think I can forego my artistic integrity to voice, but I cannot forego my artistic integrity to images.
You mean like AI images?
Yeah. Like, there's million ways to showcase the clothes. And the way we did it as you participated is the most traditional one. Like, we got models in, we plan a show, and then we have them walk it, and this is all real. And that's something I hope at least my house can hold it as long as it can, because there are so many pitch that's like, oh, we have this AI try-on, so you don't have to hire models to cut your costs.
Yeah.
And voice, maybe I can feel a little bit foregoing, but visuals, I still think there's value of working with actual human beings and with even the prototype. We prototype also in very traditional way, like we tape measure it and then we cut it right on the mannequins. Yeah. If there's a tool for you to mass produce your content, would you do it?
I think it's an interesting question. I think for personal branding, of course, no, right? Like, I think one of the best things that you can do is just be your authentic self. And because you're like quite unique in your own interests. And if you can showcase that, that's quite good. But if it's educational stuff, then I would be willing, right? Like, if it was, why do I need to go take a photo of this like exotic frog in the rainforest when I can just like get the image online?
Right. Of course.
So on that sense, yeah, like I think, if you're just making some videos about business or biology or something like this, then using AI may be beneficial. But to come back to like your clothes, I think the customer, or at least me personally, like, even if the AI version of the image looks nice, I would still want to see it on a real person. So I think hopefully in the textile industry, in the fashion industry, like, yeah, they will maintain like people actually putting on the clothes. So I do think that is important. Yeah. So I think it depends on the type of content that you're making. Like if AI should be used or not.
It's well, this is a rebellious gene in me. So I have a sort of a career in architecture before, and inside architecture, we used to use pencil to draw drawings, floor plans. And now it's all computer. And then before we will make physical models to communicate, and now it's all graphic render, like a 3D images. And my genealogy is probably the one of the last one that still do physical model. Like if the clients want to talk to ideas, we can send them the picture of the models, or they come to the office to see. And it's the same vein with the fashion thing, right? Like we could generate just images and post it online and say, yeah, we are selling. Yeah. And this, if map it to the content creation, you probably get exposed to this before. Like there will be, here is, you can upload 10 images or 10 footage of you speaking, and then they can generate you speaking with the text you want it to be. Do you feel that's some tool you would be wanting to use?
Like
if there's an app, well, there is app on the market. They will digitally clone you, basically. Once you upload your face, that's how you do.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
It's the same technology they use to use Face ID. They basically scan your face, and then now the computing is fast enough to.
I've seen that, some of it before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would I use it personally? Ooh, I mean, part of me like, the part of me that whatever gets the end goal the fastest,
right?
wants to do that, right?
Yeah.
Because then I could produce, 10 times, 20 times more content and just spread it across the internet or something like this.
Yes.
And that would be beneficial. But I also think that, I still don't think the quality is as high, right? Like, and doing it yourself, you can, like, I think the other important thing is you doing it yourself is building the skills in that specific field. And at the end of the day, you have yourself, like all of the work that you put in, it changed who you are and made you into the kind of person that you want to be. And so I think that's actually, at the end of the day, the most valuable thing. And if you offsource that to AI, so for example, a lot of people right now use AI for writing.
Yeah.
But I guess, I don't know if you call it a traditionalist for wanting to write, but I personally love writing. And for me, it's like something I do to help me think and to organize my thoughts.
Yes.
And it's very important. And I think, AI right now can help a lot of people quickly write, but because they're not going through that process themselves, they're no longer able to think that way. And it comes with some major consequences later on.
They are right now, what they are telling us is like, you don't have to learn these skills, right?
Yeah.
It's a low hanging fruit. It's a quick shortcut.
Yeah.
The other side of the argument is I've been trying to make contents for the house, and man, so much take, so many, like, I couldn't, even if there is a teleprompter, I couldn't start the sentence to finish. So if there is a digital twin of me, and then I can type in the speech and then it can speak just one time.
Yeah.
All the time has been saved.
Yeah. I think from a business perspective, it's worthwhile, right? But I think it just depends on like what kind of skills do you want to learn yourself? Like if you think that skill is worth the time investment, like for example, language. I think right now learning a language is actually not so valuable because of how fast technology has developed that, right now you can wear like the Google glasses and it'll automatically translate while the person's speaking and then translate your voice back to them in their native language.
Right.
And so it's like, in the sense of communication, it's not valuable.
Right.
But is it valuable to you as a person? Like, does it fit your interests? And is it something that you want to be very like deeply knowledgeable about that culture and those people? Then it could be worth it. So I think everything, like for example, the writing, like if you're just doing like, blog content for the sake of just making ad money, and then you can just have AI just whipping out reviews and such for different products and you can be set to make money. But if you're doing writing to really think about things deeply, and then that will, carry on into other areas of your life, then I think it's important to spend the time to do it.
I agree. It's a different thing to, you know how to order a food in different language, then I understand why they laugh at that joke.
Yeah.
It's a very different thing. And the rewarding mechanism is much different.
Yeah, and you can connect with people and it's different for sure.
For sure. Then it comes down to, if we want to push that a little further, then if the technology can even capture that, then the conversation is different.
True.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, like language, I guess, is not something you need to learn now, right? But it's something just if it's your interest,
Right. What do you write?
What do I write? I write a lot about, I guess I call them principles, but it's more of, some insight that I learned about my life that perhaps like a rule to follow by, something like this, or a habit that I want to adhere to. I usually write about those and elaborate off of that, and that kind of helps me make decisions quicker and to act better in life. I guess. Yes.
Explain to me, how does the mechanism work? For example, when you write it down, does it reinforce it, or
yes,
you write it down, you can come back to see as a reminder,
Mm.
or you write it down so you can have a different take later on? Like, what's the mechanism of the act of writing this?
I think one of the best benefits for me, at least, is just solidifying the idea. So you have maybe this like one sentence idea about some specific topic, and
Right.
then you just elaborate on it. So you're thinking of all different analogies and metaphors that connect with that, and maybe some life experience that you've had.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just kind of write. I don't write so much, maybe just like 3-4 paragraphs.
Right.
Usually kind of like a short, maybe 1 page, 1.5 pages, not much, just about this one idea. And then that, because you're going through the writing thing, maybe it takes an hour. So you're spending that amount of time. You won't forget that one sentence or whatever that you elaborated on. Mm-hmm. And in the case of somebody else, like if it ever comes up in conversation, or if that situation arises, then you're actually able to explain it better to other people because you've already thought about your answer. So that's another benefit as well, is, some people, they may think they understand something, but then if somebody asks them about it, you're like, you don't know what to say, right?
Yeah.
And it's because you haven't prepared to respond.
Yes.
I do think the reminder is good too. You go back and you see all the things that you've written, and maybe you don't need to read the whole thing. You could just see the headline and you remember what you've written.
Yeah.
So that's quite valuable. And your last point about like whether or not it changes, it does change a lot, right? You might have this one philosophy, and then a year later you have a completely different philosophy, and to see that change over time is interesting as well. And you can compare it too. So like, for example, if you have one principle where, for example, like food. When I was very young, I was like very strict, wouldn't eat anything unhealthy. Even ate like vegetables raw, wouldn't even cook them. Just really strict about it. And then I went to the other side where it's like, I can kind of do whatever I want and eat more junk food and things like this. So I would go to Carrefour and buy like a whole chocolate cake and just eat it at home when I was bored. But now I'm back into the healthy again. Maybe not as strict as when I was younger, but you can see how it's changed. And also I was able to compare the two different rules, basically like the really strict adherence to health versus the completely free. And I can see, okay, how did that impact my life?
Right.
And I see that at the end of the day, it's actually more rewarding to have known that I stuck to like a healthy diet and to have, like healthier skin and a healthier body,
right?
Than it was to enjoy that, food for that short amount of time. And so I think if you do like, have different principles in your life and then you can kind of analyze, okay, what was the outcome of this? And then at the end of the day, you can pick which one you think was the best.
Have you ever found yourself the younger's thoughts are cringe as hell?
Oh, yes. I mean, it depends on the thought, but yeah, of course.
All right.
Do you have
name one?
Name one. I think when I was younger, one of my biggest problems was I had so much anxiety about the future.
Okay.
Like, I was so young, but everything was just planning. Every day I would just be planning like, okay, I'm going to get these scholarships, so then I'm going to go to this school, then I'm going to work this job. And I thought I had everything, like worked out, but it was always changing. So it was like, oh, I want to be a US diplomat. Oh, so I planned the whole like 5-year plan. Okay. And then it's like a month passed and I'm like, okay, I want to be a Twitch streamer. And then it's like a whole new plan. And
okay,
I think there was a lot of issues with it because I would never just focus on what I was doing at that moment. I was always thinking about what I was going to do next.
Okay.
And I think that was quite disastrous for like many, many years. Like ruined a lot of things in my life because, for example, I wouldn't enjoy the time that I spent with my friends or family, or I would even skip out on events because I wanted to do planning or something like this.
Right.
And a lot of times the planning yield to nothing, right? Like I would spend maybe weeks looking up scholarships and planning the schools I wanted to go to and then never actually do any of that. So it's like all that time wasted.
Okay.
So I think that was, I don't know if that's cringe, but it
Right.
was pretty bad. Yeah.
Right now, from time to time, Facebook will say, you posted this 15 years ago.
Oh, that stuff. Yeah. Okay, I know what you mean.
And I'm like, oh, fuck. Please, Jesus, this need to disappear. Oh, my God.
Your digital footprint.
Yeah. Like, who permit you to be that emo 15 years ago?
Yeah. I have that with photos. not so much about like what I thought or said, but photos definitely.
The younger self?
Yeah. Just
not
even younger self, like just a few months ago. Because at the time you might take some just ridiculous photo and you'll post it, or some meme or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, you'll have regrets later for sure.
For this I guess type A, like alpha type of planning, does the writing help?
Actually, I think it makes it worse, maybe.
Right.
Because you think about it more.
I see.
And a lot of times, again, you're always writing about plans.
Okay.
Yeah. You're like, okay, these are the X, 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 and X I need to do.
Right.
In order to achieve, X, Y, and Z. So I think writing about what you want to do, I don't think it's brought me much benefit, to be honest.
Okay.
I think the most important thing is you just immediately start taking like a small bite out of it. You just start doing something.
Yes.
I think that is a better path than writing about it.
Right.
I do think if you want to think about your plan, I think the best actually is just going for a walk. And you just kind of think about like, shit, I need to get some things figured out.
Do you have a mechanism tell yourself to stop?
Ooh, you mean stop thinking so much?
Yeah.
I've gotten better with it now recently, but before I would say no, I did not have. And so I wasted a lot of time. I think right now, yeah, like you can see maybe I'm conscious and aware that I have that problem.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I'll be like, it might pass and my anxiety will get up really high, like past maybe 2 hours of me thinking about something. Mm-hmm. And then I'll be like, okay, no, I just need to go do something.
Right.
So
what's the most brutal force of way to sort of deal with it? The anxieties and the planning.
To make it go away?
Yeah.
I think the best way to make it go away is you just need to actually, they say like go out and touch some grass, like go out and actually go do something.
Right.
So for me, it's like going to the gym, taking a cold shower, and seeing friends, interacting with people, like staying away from maybe social media and my phone, and staying away from writing and planning.
Right.
So to actually go do something, even just like even work too, right? Like you go to work, you might be tired, you do like an 8-hour shooting, something like this. So then at the end of the day, you feel like happy that you did something, right?
Right.
So I think, yeah, you just have to go take some action and go outside. Yeah. I think the worst thing is you think it's kind of like dangling a carrot in front of your head where you think, okay, I'm doing all this planning and I feel a lot of anxiety about my future. What's going to fix it? More planning. But that's not how it works. It's going to make it worse. Right. 100%.
Yes.
So I think the best thing that you need to do is just like action. Go do something.
How did you learn these? Like how did you learn to deal with your own anxiety?
I think just it takes a lot of self-reflection, some introspection. You just kind of you have anxiety, and then you're like, why do I feel anxiety?
Okay.
And then at this time you don't have anxiety, and you think, why don't I have anxiety?
Right.
And then you kind of figure out for yourself, like, what are the things that give you anxiety, and what are things that don't, and what things relieve anxiety.
Right.
And it's like a little bit of a trial and error. I think introspection's really, really, really important.
Okay.
So like for fitness as well, like a lot of people, they go to the gym and they don't listen to their own body, or for dietary needs as well. Like they don't listen to like when I eat this food, I feel like shit, and if I eat this food, I feel amazing.
Right.
So I think that constant like analysis of like what's your internal state like, and how is that directly correlated to the external situation that you're in.
Okay.
And building those like associations,
right,
is quite valuable.
Let's have a pissing contest. How bad is your anxiety?
Depends. Like, I think it really depends on your overall state of health, right? Like if you haven't been seeing friends, you've been at your home all day, and you just basically been like on a downward spiral, then anxiety can get really bad, you know, like anxiety and depression and these things. So I think like life is either you're going like woo or you're going woo. So you kind of have to try your best to make sure you're always going up. Otherwise it gets really bad.
Yeah.
But I would say like right now it's not too bad. I'm pretty chill.
Okay.
Yeah. Like of course I'll still feel it, but I have that like cutoff switch. Okay. Where I'm like, okay, no, I'm doing something wrong, so I need to fix it right now.
Right.
Yeah.
The worst I get is I forgot how to breathe.
Oh, so you mean like physical response?
Yes.
I mean that's pretty serious. You kind of
yes.
Yeah, that's
that's
I mean, you need to breathe.
Hence the pissing contest, and I learned it. The reason why I ask how you learn it, because I learned it through textbook. Like the doctor said,
okay,
I go to a camp, a group, and then there's sort of not doctors but therapists, and they tell you like, okay, you need to, here are the tricks you can use. It can be just every day 3 simple things. Finish those 3. It can be waking up, that's 1. And then made your bed, that's 2. Eat your medicine, that's 3. 3 simple manageable things. And then you have that, and you do it a week. You know, these kind of more institutional knowledge, so to speak. That's how, you know,
interesting.
That's how those knowledge come into my head.
Yeah.
And one really good trick I learned is to go through your sensory system, because anxiety is about worry about the future. And this is under the umbrella of grounding exercise. So grounding exercise basically is order your mind to focus on the current. And the way to do it is go through your sensory. So find 5 things that you can smell at that moment, and then tell yourself what the smells is like. And then 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can see, 2 things you can hear.
Yeah. And
the order can switch, but basically it's that.
Yeah.
And then once you go through that, at least for me, it's a ginormous help. And that's like, oh, I didn't know. The mind needs get tricked as well. Like everyone's mind is so different. And once it's in short circuit, it needs these kind of like hard reboot to be like, oh, okay, knock it back to the normal state of being. Other times I just take pills and fall asleep. That's it.
But yeah. I mean, the grounding is true, right? It's meditation, basically.
Yeah.
I hear about that as well. Yeah, that helps too.
And there's so much way of breathing. I didn't know.
That I haven't. I mean, like I know what you mean.
Yes.
But again, I also did not learn it.
There are so many ways to breathe. And it's very like biochemical. It's just the way to suppress your nerve system or encourage your sub-nervous system. And it's very biochemical. It's just like they do the research and they found out, oh, that's it. Well, the simplest one is breathe twice and exhale once. And you can find that when baby is crying or when children is crying. If you observe them, when children cry, they always breathe twice and exhale once. And that's biochemical. It's just our body this is a way to reduce our nerve system.
Yeah.
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 Hard turn into pop culture. Have you seen Inside Out too?
Inside Out. No, I just know.
No.
No. What is Inside Out?
Inside Out is a Pixar animation.
Okay.
And there's one, and then there's a sequel.
Oh.
So the premises is the main character is your emotions.
Okay.
Those are the characters. Like, what if emotions is character?
Okay.
And then they live inside a baby girl. Not a baby girl. They live inside a girl's head. And as the girl went through major life changes, how does these emotions inside their head to find a way to work it out with each other? And as Pixar fashion, they went to like heavy research on how our mind works. So these are all based on like research institute, medical research institute. So we have 5 primal emotions, and that's the 5 character in the animation. Fast forward to why I ask you if you have seen Inside Out 2, because the 2 set place in this girl got into a new school, have new friends, it's a new environment, and also puberty start to happen. And there's more complex emotions. So more character other than the 5 primal ones. And all this, one of the character is anxiety. And the way they graphically represent that emotion, it's spot on. It's at least exactly how I feel. It's like it feels like a million things going on inside your head, but you couldn't move. And I don't know, when your anxiety happened, like, what do you feel? Have you ever tried to describe it?
Now that you mention it, no.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
It's not a good state to be in.
Yeah, of course.
At least for sure.
I mean, anxiety, yeah, it's just, I think, yeah, how you described it seems to be how it is, right? Yeah, like a million things going on and you can't move.
Yeah.
I've always thought of it as like, I mean, it's quite similar to worrying, right? Like, anxiety is about like the future or the imminent threat. And I think the reason we feel feels anxiety in the modern age so much more than perhaps our ancestors is a lot of those threats are just so, like, there's just a million minor ones. Like, just, I need to reply to this. I need to go do this meeting. I have X, Y, and Z that I need to do. And so it's like, and there's so much more information and complexity in the modern age that you don't know how to solve these problems. And it's too much for the brain to handle. Yeah. I think it's just overstimulated. That's what I would think anxiety is for me, is just overstimulated.
Yes.
And I mean, like, for example, the way for me to get anxiety to go away is to be understimulated or just relaxed, just take that time where you're doing the grounding for like 10, 20 minutes. Right. Like after that, you just, like, the anxiety's gone, at least for me. And so you can kind of see it's like, okay, well, if that's getting rid of the anxiety, then anxiety is probably the opposite, where you're like constantly checking your phone, and then you have to rush on the MRT, and then you have to go to this meeting, and then you're like late to the meeting, and then so.
How long has workout been helping you?
Working out?
Yes.
I mean, working out, like, you might have some periods in your life you're very serious about it, and some periods you're not. But I think it's always been a part of me since when I was like 14, 15 is when I started working out. Okay. And for me, it's one of the greatest stress relievers in my life. Yeah, I would say so. Okay. Because I can kind of pin, like, if today everything is bad happens, but as long as I go to the gym, then today's a good day. That's the way I think about it. Yeah. And so it's kind of keeps you centered, right? Because it's something where you spend time now training on something, and you will get results in, I guess, in your mental and your physical health. Yes. And you can see it physically as well.
Yes.
And so it gives you a little bit of grounding and confidence. And so for me, training is more of like for mental sake, actually, for like, to keep myself happy. And I think in life, if you think too much, you're like, okay, what's my purpose and everything like this? And you just kind of like, you can get a lot of anxiety about that, right? And I think maybe training is something, it's like, well, life has no meaning. I don't know what to do, but at least I can go and like improve myself.
I heard, again, from internet, it says, you never regret finishing a workout.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It has no downside effect.
Yeah.
Other than injury, of course, but
yeah.
Workout is the upside outperform the downside.
Yeah, definitely.
10 times more.
I mean, there's, of course, all the crazy health benefits that come with it too.
Right.
Like, apparently, like, working out is actually better for your brain than any mental exercise that you could possibly do.
Yes.
Because of the oxygen that gets delivered to the brain and the nutrients.
Okay.
Yeah.
How does that work? Why?
Why does it work? Excellent question. But I have heard that for like the longevity of your brain, and for its mental acuity, to be able to focus on things and to just be in an overall healthy state, exercise is the number one thing for it.
And I do want the listener to know you are saying this from a very authoritative state, because you do have certifications as a trainer. Right.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, you can look it up on Google. Is exercise good for the brain?
Is exercise good for the brain? Yes. Yeah. For working out, I did this podcast with Brian yesterday, and he has mild body dysmorphia. He is on that path of getting bigger, and he's chasing the bigger the better path. I'm like, Ryan, you can.
I think a lot of people that are huge into fitness have body dysmorphia.
Right.
Like anyone that you see fit, most of them have body dysmorphia, I would say.
How does that culture get cultivated?
I mean, honestly, like, okay, body dysmorphia, it may be a bad thing, but I also think it's a good thing. To me, it's...
Let's define the healthy boundary between keep pushing yourself and...
I mean, you just have to think about it in the long term, right? If you're talking about pushing yourself, like, yeah, you should keep working towards your goal, but I think the healthy boundary is realizing that rest is actually just as crucial to the development of like your physique or the health, like the body that you want.
Right.
So if you understand that health and relaxation is, and your overall like emotional state,
right?
Like if your emotional state is bad and you're not resting, then it will actually kill your gains.
Right.
And so once you understand that concept, then when you're resting, it also feels like you're working out.
Yes.
In a very interesting way. Because you work out and then when you're resting is when your body is like actually building all the muscle.
Right.
Right. You can like just imagine the protein entering into your bloodstream or something like this. Do whatever you want. But I think that's the healthy boundary. Like if you can understand the relationship with those two, you can always be progressing towards your goal and always be in a contented, happy state. Yeah.
Right.
But about the body dysmorphia, I mean, I think it's like, it can be healthy in a way. Like, I mean, being unhappy with how your body is, perhaps like carries with it some negative emotions, but it can also be a impetus,
right,
to make you want to improve, right?
yeah,
So you might have like this mental image within your brain of like, this is the person that I want to be.
right,
And I think having that is good because it orientates yourself towards that goal.
right,
So you have like, okay, the way that you want to act and behave, the way that you want to think, the way that you want to treat other people, the way that you want to look. Like you can have all of these ideas of like, this is what the ideal self of me is like, and I want to become this person. And I think that's a very healthy thing to have, and it can really help you keep improving in life.
Right.
I think the opposite, where people, they can't handle a negative emotion, and so they never want to improve themselves. They just want to accept how they are now.
Right.
I think that is actually more toxic in a way.
Yeah.
But I think the danger is there's a lot of anxiety about, this is where I am now and this is where I want to be. And there's a difference there. And then that's where, like, if you overthink that, I think that's where like the debilitating anxiety comes from. Yeah. Because that is when you can start like hating yourself and things like this.
Yes.
And so that is where you have to be very careful about. So it's a very fine balance.
I wanted to get more finer detail on this, because how to set the goal is also extremely important. And I learned this from Atomic Habit. The goal shouldn't be, I want to lose 50 pounds. It shouldn't be, I want to get bigger. The goal should be, I want to be the kind of person
yes
that can lose 15 pounds. I want to be an athlete that can gain however amount of the muscle they want to gain. So it's a minute different,
but it's substantial.
Yeah, but it definitely, like you said, that distance of despair will forever increase if the mindset is about getting something, not becoming something.
Yeah. And
that's a very, very, very minute detail.
But it's important.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I found this like mental trick I did. So in the calendars, if I did workout, I used to make a cross. And then after reading Atomic Habit, I changed from making a cross to making a check. And that signals a very different message. Seeing a check on the calendar is more positive than seeing a cross on the calendar. So it shifts from, okay, I get this done again. It shifts from, how do I put it? It shifts from, oh, there's more tomorrow I need to finish, towards, oh, I gained this thing. I put this today is in the pocket. And I found that super useful. Like just that little.
Yeah. Just a check. Yeah.
Yeah. Just that little check.
What you're describing is similar to a concept I heard about, like productivity debt. Have you heard?
No.
It's like the feeling that you have in the morning when you wake up and you feel like you owe to the universe that you accomplished these things.
Right.
So you might have a task list, like, okay, today I need to do X amount of work. I need to go to the gym. I need to meditate. I need to, I don't know, talk to these people, whatever. You basically have these lists of obligations every day that you wake up. And so you're going throughout the day, checking these things off. And at the end of the day, if you didn't finish all of them, you feel like a piece of shit. You feel like you hate yourself. Like, why couldn't I do the bare minimum, whatever?
Right.
Like, you have that.
Yeah.
And then it gives you anxiety, which then makes you not really able to sleep well. And then you wake up the next day like, okay, now I need to do even more. Or I need to do, even if you completed everything, then you wake up the next day and you feel like, okay, now I have to do it all over again.
Yes.
And if you're like in this constant cycle, you're in like a constant cycle of unhappiness.
Right.
And every day it just feels like you're just toiling and you're just, just going through drudgery and hard work. And I think the thing about the X and the check mark that you said is like, yeah, you should instead, start every day off as a blank slate. And everything that you do is like just a bonus. Like, wow, I did something great.
Interesting. Yes.
Yeah, that's how you should think about it.
Yeah.
Right. And not the productivity debt. The productivity debt is a horrible mindset. So I think, trying to shift into that mindset, where everything that you're doing is, just a plus.
Right.
Is so important.
Do you have similar mindset when you're doing workout? Like everything you do is a add-on?
Yeah, I think so now. I mean, of course you can. Yeah, I do have that mindset actually.
Okay.
I think perhaps maybe in the past I had the mindset where it's like when that's why I disagree with, okay, me personally, I don't do such rigorous planning of like what exercises I'm going to do on which day.
Right.
I'm more intuitive, and because I've been training a long time, I understand how it works, and I also understand, the best thing you can do actually is just listen to your current state of body. So if you're going into the gym and your shoulders is blasted, and you're like, well, today's like, I don't know, chest day or something.
Right.
Okay, maybe now is not actually the best time to train that. Now maybe you could do some legs or even do some like corrective exercises. You can work on like,
listen to your body.
Yeah, listen to your body.
Yeah.
And when you think like that, and then every time you go to the gym, it's just like, it's like play, because you're just like, okay, I'm going to do this exercise because it will come with these benefits and it feels great, or I want to improve this part of my body.
Nice. And
things like this. And so everything that you do, it feels awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. We are using like workout as an example because it's such an immediate feedback.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't want the listener to be like, oh, these are two gym rats talking about gym things. Somehow, and this is my practice that I'm trying really hard to do as well, is to shift it to the career as well. Like that productivity debt can spiral hard. When you're, there's always 2,000 things you can finish.
True.
And cut down like 10, there's still more.
Yeah.
And that's not we are supposed to feel good when we finish things.
Yeah, we should. I think for that, the mental tricks that have helped me is one, that as long as you're focused on the present, that you know that you're doing something productive, that's one of them, right? So if you're not dawdling or wasting time and you're actually just doing something in the current moment, like even if it's not even related to work, like you're just hanging out with a friend eating lunch, then just spend that time with the friend eating lunch, right? And then you're working. Maybe it's something like just doing research into like how you fix this problem. Realize that that's also productive, and that just focus on doing the research to fix the problem.
Right.
Don't worry about the problems not being fixed yet.
Right.
Something like this. So just always being in the current state, knowing that whatever you're doing right now is helping you. So that's one thing. And then the second thing is, I realize like a lot of tasks are quite low leverage.
Right.
And you may spend so much time being busy, but you actually get like nothing done.
Right.
And so really realizing like what are the actual really high leverage tasks.
Yes.
And to just focus your time on those.
Right.
Because before I would be like so obsessed with productivity systems. Like the AI calendars and all of the different apps and Notion or these things. I would spend like just weeks developing these instead of actually just doing the work.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
So I think that's completely ridiculous. And the best thing to do is actually just do the work.
Right.
Like even things like organization. I would spend like, 5 hours organizing and then maybe just like 30 minutes actually doing the work.
Yes.
And so that's a big problem. Like sometimes actually just having it be disorganized is actually more efficient.
Right.
In some cases.
Yeah.
So I think I think for the taking time to analyze the tasks and which ones are actually the high leverage ones can be so valuable for productivity.
Yeah, and even by doing that, even if you didn't finish it, the whole list, you still got the most valuable out of the way. So
yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I have numerous days I will be spending, I'll start out the day and feeling good about myself, start to plan in. And after I plan the day, I got exhausted and I throw the plans away. It's like, oh, God damn it. Yeah.
I know what you mean.
The folly of being a human.
Yeah. I think the planning actually can be exhausting because you already, it feels like debt that you have to pay off. Like it's something that you have to finish, right?
Yeah.
And if you're doing that day in, day out, then you're waking up every day with low energy rather than being excited about it.
Exactly. So we covered you as a writer. I won't say content creator.
Okay.
I'm gonna put writer sounds fancier.
Okay.
So we cover you are a writer and then you work out. What is the rest of the composition to make up you as a being?
As a person, huh? I mean, I do modeling and also I want to get into content creation, like shooting videos.
Right.
I mean, these are my greatest interests. I mean, I've done other things as well, like teaching English or teaching personal training.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you love about these things? We cover workout enough.
Yeah. We talked about workout a lot. I think I do like the creativity.
Yes.
And for the why content creation, for this one, I would say it's because a lot of who I am was influenced by maybe a few key individuals, some figures that, they had some videos and they shared their thoughts with me and I find that interesting and then that helped change my life.
Yeah.
And so I think carrying on that legacy is important. So you want to basically share your wisdom or your mindset with other people that you think would just be good tips to help them improve themselves, something like this.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, that's something where I get a lot of energy from because it's something that I'm interested in, like very passionate about. And about like writing and modeling, like I think a lot of things that I do is centered around like improving myself.
Right.
So I like things that are directly related to you as a human being. So for example, writing is like helping you think.
Yes.
And modeling is helping you how to control like your facial expressions and the way that you act. And then like working out is good for your like physical health,
right?
And content creation is a way to share your life and your philosophy with other people,
right?
And so like all of them are like quite directly related to the self, and to me that it's really important to me. I think other topics where it's like, okay, I'm an expert in SEO, or I do programming, or I do these other things. I think they're interesting, but for me, it's like just not as interesting because it didn't actually change much about the person.
Right.
Like having this deep knowledge about SEO or this deep knowledge about accounting. It didn't really. It doesn't change much about your actual life.
This is not who you are.
Yeah. I do think there are some careers, like, for example, art or music, that can be quite impactful to you as an individual.
Yeah.
Or even other things, like even if you're working in maybe like marketing, or even as a doctor, like maybe you can take some of those principles and live a healthier life because of it. Or with marketing, you can understand like psychology more,
right?
And how people behave.
Yeah.
I think those are some interesting topics.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of careers, maybe they don't interest me because they don't change you as an individual too much.
Yes. This is something I learned when I was in New Orleans. The things you do when you go to New Orleans is you book a, how do I call it? Like a guided tour. It doesn't have to be, it can be any guided tour. And New Orleans being New Orleans, it has all these amazing tours that's been offered. You can go into crime, you can go into paranormal, you can go. And it was a very interesting feeling that I never felt it anywhere else. Is during the night, you just see all these tour guide like walk around the town and then tell you the town of the story. And it somehow struck me deeper than normal tourists. Then I realized, oh, this is what humans do. We tell story to each other. Like that's what makes us us. Like there is a fundamental interest that everybody pay when you are telling a story.
True.
It doesn't have to be, it can be any kind of shape or form. It can be a tour, it can be a YouTube video, but humans saying things, it's somehow the way we connected with each other. True. Yeah. And that New Orleans taught me that. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is who I am. Like I am drawn to people who tell stories. Yeah. More so than others, but I think the common trait we all share is like, we like to talk to each other. Yeah.
I think that's what, even in business and such, like good branding and everything is too. Just, I mean, it is like storytelling. That vibe or feeling you give to other people, or the knowledge that you give them, is important.
Do you have an inkling on establishing a brand, personal brand?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. And if there's a 30-second elevator pitch, what would you say? And put you on the spot.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to be like the self-help guru. Okay. I am. I don't want to be like that. But I think that is my greatest interest. Like kind of things that we talked about today, where we talked about, okay, you had anxiety and what's a different way to look about it? Okay, what is productivity debt and how do you deal with that? Like those slight mindset shifts are what interest me the most. Right. And I like explaining that to other people. And I really think, like, if you look at my Instagram, it says, "You are what you think," written on my Instagram. A lot of people ask me, like, what does that mean? Okay. And I just have it written there because I think that it determines your entire life, your entire existence. The way that you perceive things and comprehend things will determine 99% of your life. Yes. And I think that is a fact that is overlooked. And so that is something that I wish more people would just take some time to consider and think about. Right. If you look at my personality, the MBTI, I'm ENTP, which is like the beta one. And basically it's just the one where it's like, I don't think any one mindset is perhaps correct, but rather that you should just look at it from a bunch of different perspectives and just kind of play around with it and be playful in life and to just experiment more. Like, so I think teaching mindset would probably be the thing that I would want
your
to
brand.
Do. Yeah. my 5-minute long 30-second elevator speech. It's a long elevator.
It's a long elevator. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There are like 2-3 thoughts that I have. You are what you think. Our beloved old friend Descartes. You think before you exist. There will be Yuval Noah Harari will be the first one who say that's not true anymore. There is this historian who write the author of *Sapien*.
Okay. The Homo sapien one?
Yeah.
Okay.
He will be the first one to say, that used to be true. And now we are pre-programmed in so many ways.
Yeah, we definitely are.
Yeah.
100%.
And asking, I guess it's a different ask. Like, constantly reintegrate, constantly thinking about what I am. It's a little bit effort in vain, according to him. I'm paraphrasing it. When there are machineries that sort of already feed you on the things you take, the things you see, the things you consume, basically. That's, I guess there's only certain type of people are willing to go through that exercise of trying to think about how they think. Yeah. Others, it's just another day in the park.
Yeah.
I need to get a job. I need to go to it.
Yeah. I mean, perhaps it's a bit mean to say this, but I feel like some people that is not fully awake.
Right.
It's just like there's like a certain degree of consciousness people can have.
Right.
And some people, yeah, like if they just go about life without ever questioning or thinking about why they think this way or why are they doing these things.
Yeah.
They're just semi-awake, and then you have to, like, I guess maybe like the enlightened Buddhist monk is probably, he's quite awake, he's quite up there, or something like this.
Right.
So I think there's definitely a spectrum, different degrees. Yes. And I think the ideal is you want to keep going up. You want to become more and more conscious of why things are the way they are.
Have you heard the allegory of the cave?
The Plato one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Explain.
I explain it.
Yeah.
From my understanding of it,
yes,
is there are people sitting inside the cave, and they spend their whole life thinking that these shadow projections on the wall of the cave is what reality is like.
Yes.
But the true reality is outside the cave.
Yes.
And it's just being projected by the sun and whatever is going on out there.
Yeah.
And that analogy is just to represent that the thing that we think is real is perhaps not actually the true truth. Yes. And if only we would actually look around and realize that, oh, there's actually another world out there, or there's another truth out there.
Yeah.
That is what we should be doing.
30 more seconds, we can start a cult.
Yeah. We should. We need a cult name.
Yeah. Another story I want to share with you is Achilles.
Okay.
And the reason why is your Halloween costume, but no. Recently, I have the good fortune of being retold of the story.
Okay.
And we all know the arch of that story.
Okay.
Achilles heals.
Yeah.
And then when I say good fortune, it's because the details got pointed out to me, and that turns that story become even more interesting. So when Achilles was born, it was prophesied he can either have a glorious life as a hero, or he can have a quiet but longevity. This was prophesied because her mother is the goddess, and they will have the ability to get this information. So mom being a mom, he wanted his son to have a longevity life. So he went to the river and then dipped her son into the river. Here's a detail. His mom pinched Achilles' foot. So in my mental image, it was always just grab the foot and then dip it in. But she actually pinched. She used the least amount of square footage area because he want all of his body to be soaked in the water.
Yeah.
So she used her thumb and the first finger and then dip her son in. And then the tragedy goes as that's where he got shot. By Paris. And here's another detail. The arrow is poison. So the malicious part of it is those arrows are when the war happened, there is a malicious intent behind that poison thing. That's why Achilles died. It's not because it got shot where it didn't get covered. It's because the poison that Achilles has this tragic loss. And this go back to the story thing. It's like, oh, okay, it just become much more favorable. Like these are the details I didn't know when I was a kid. Yeah. And now like revisiting again, it's like, oh, these are interesting things to know. Useless, but pretty interesting to know. Yeah. How it's related to you, I have no idea.
It's an interesting story. I do like that story as well.
Right. Which stories stick inside your head from your childhood?
I mean, from my childhood, like from my personal childhood, or which stories?
Yeah. It can be either or. Take it how you wanted to.
Okay.
Extrapolate.
There's one story that just one thing that does help me. Like Hercules at the crossroads. I hear this one a lot. And this one, basically, it's quite similar to Achilles' story, where like when he was born, he was prophesied these two options.
Right.
And Hercules was at the crossroads, and he has two options as well. And he's basically, there's two different goddesses. I believe one's Hera, one's Athena. One is probably Hera or Athena, I forgot. And then the other one, I think, is Aphrodite.
Okay.
And Aphrodite, is like the goddess of love. She's very attractive. And basically, if he goes down this road, he will just live like a very comfortable life.
Right.
And just same as Achilles, probably long longevity, happy. And then the other path is like either Hera or Athena. And it promises like, lots of toil and pain and suffering. But at the end of the day, like he would accomplish more.
Right.
And he, of course, chose that path. And kind of like that, like I think in Stoicism too, like Ryan Holiday, he wrote like a book about like the obstacle is the way. Like this kind of always face the difficult path for the purpose of improving yourself.
Right.
That kind of thought. And there's another, I know I'm jumping around a lot, but there's another badass quote from Achilles that I really like, where he's about to go into battle, and the people like tell him he's crazy, he shouldn't go, like it's too dangerous, he's going to die or something like this. And then he says something like, "This is why no one will ever remember your name."
That's a model you want to live by?
No, I'm not saying it's like the model I want to live by, but I have a lot of respect for people that pursue the great ambitions.
Right.
Like I watched this one documentary on Netflix about like Alexander the Great, and again, like there's no like turning back or stopping. He just goes, right? Like,
yes.
I mean, he's one of the world's greatest conquerors. I guess because, when I was a boy, I liked the fighting and everything. So you can see a lot of my role models. Yeah. Right. Or even like Genghis Khan, you know, like, yeah, of course, like, people don't like, war is something to be looked down upon. But there's something to respect in these people that are just so tenacious.
There are so many things to learn from them.
Yeah. Like just these types of people, these kind of mindset. I love that mindset of people that just want to just do great things. Like I know a lot of people hate Elon Musk, for example, but I actually really like him. Like sure, you may disagree that he's not spending his money to feed people and hunger or whatever.
Right.
But like for somebody to, you know, start a electric car company, SpaceX, Neuralink can deliver anywhere. Now he's doing like some brain implants with chips. He has his own AI and everything like this. It blows my mind. You know, like you have to respect somebody like that.
Right.
In some ways. But,
road less travel.
Yeah. Just you see something and you go for it. Those types of people are very admirable, I found. Yeah.
Well, we are wrapping up. I wanted to... This is a great segue because I wanted to show you the rough cut of our show.
Okay.
And we want to get your reaction to it.
Okay.